Well, of course, like I said before, I mean, we are not interested in trade wars. There are no winners in trade wars. Who is laughing on the side or looking at the side is China, who is really benefiting from, U.S. having a trade war with Europe. But it is also clear that if these tariffs are put on us, then we are also defending our interests. But like I say, in the end, eventually the consumers get to pay higher prices, and that is not in the interest of anybody. So we really try to avoid these things, but of course we see this news coming all the time. I think right now is important to keep cool head because we see the statements, and then what really matters is the actual steps, the legal acts that are done, and then we are also ready to react.
A stupid question or a basic one, but are you confident you know what the U.S. wants when it comes to this trade war? As you watch all of these salvos and escalations, do you know what you could do or might do to appease the President of the United States and end the war that started a few weeks ago?
Well, of course, you have to ask the President of the United States what is their goal regarding this. But what they have been or what they have been saying out is that there is a trade deficit between our countries. It is of course not that big, and we can address this in a different way. But it is how it is. Like I say, we keep a cool head, and of course we are ready to act and defend our interests when we need to.
Your focus, of course, has been on the proceedings here, but in Germany, the parliament is debating a spending package and spending more money on defense. That country is in a unique position to do that. Is there more that the EU could do to help other countries that don't have the same kind of fiscal bandwidth that Germany does to defend themselves?
Well, we came with the proposal that has several elements, how to find the funding to increase defense spending, because it is clear that we need to invest more in defense. There are different elements. They were presented last week, but I think, also very important part is how to open really the private funds also for defense spending. And there, I think key is also the European Investment Bank changing its rules, because it's also an example for any kind of other bank to not put the defense investments in the same pocket as gambling, for example, which is not good for bankable investments. So I think these are good steps, but we need to move much faster. That is very clear, and the will is there.
I note your sartorial signifier. You're wearing red with a maple leaf. Your German counterpart also expressing her solidarity with the Canadians, who, of course, are the subject of this trade war as well. What message are you trying to send, yes, by doing that, but also here in conversation with your colleagues from the G7?
Well, Canada is our good partner, and we are here in this wonderful place in Canada. So of course we have very good relationship and friendship with Canada. So I think this is important that we are in this together when it comes to different wars and conflicts around the world, but when it also comes to economic security. So we need to be there for each other.
I imagine that there is an element of this that's disorienting. This is a group of allies, and you have one now who's not waging a shooting war against other members of this multilateral institution, but is waging a trade war. How do you think about that and the notion of allies and the way that nations outside of the U.S. are kind of coalescing with each other in opposition to the U.S. here?
I think the key for us is our strength is in unity. And of course, our adversaries want to see the divisions between the long-standing allies as we are, because that makes them stronger and that makes us weaker. We have to keep this in mind all the time and really work with that unity. I mean, we might have disagreements on different issues because we are all democracies and coming from our domestic politics here, but at the same time, we have a lot of issues where we agree, so we focus on those what we can do more.
I don't need to put too fine a point on it, but this was once the G8, now it's the G7. Do you worry about the integrity of this institution going forward, if it winnowing even more? talked a lot about alliances and allies and kind of growing that or strengthening that going forward. Is this an institution that you worry about in light of what's happened over the last few weeks?
I mean, we have had extremely good meetings today, and we're going to have meetings tomorrow. So in the light of this, I'm not worried.
Very quickly here, we've heard a lot about the communique, what might come together. Are you optimistic that there will be some agreement here? Are the quibbles over languages such that you don't think that's going to happen? How optimistic are you that from this meeting will be born a statement of purpose from all of you going forward?
Yes, so we are still working on that, but I'm optimistic that we will reach an agreement.
Can you say what the sticking points are? Is it related to Ukraine and Russia? Is it related to the Middle East?
Well, the issues are there. It's the Middle East, it's Ukraine. I mean, the big topics that we discussed, and you know, inside the room, actually, we are very much aligned on different issues. So I didn't really see very strong disagreements. But of course, when it comes to putting the words down on paper, then you know, there's a lot of details really, and the devil is in the details.
Thank you very much for the time.
You.